Thank you so much, guys, for joining in. Today is the day when I do a lot of predictions. Okay, today is the day when I talk about the next few years, particularly 2025 and 2026. How are they going to look like for the global job market and specifically India? इंडिया में होने क्या वाला है? बिकॉज इफ़ आई एज अ जॉब सीकर अंडरस्टैंड कि इंडिया में होगा क्या आने वाले टाइम में, जॉब्स में, ग्रोथ में, टैलेंट मार्केट में, कॉरपोरेट इंडिया जॉब्स में, जो भी है, if I come and like understand very quickly about this entire scenario, then I'll become more confident as a job seeker, right? So today we'll first go into the trends that are going on in the market. you know कुछ लोग कहते हैं बहुत ही बुरा हाल है, कॉर्पोरेट जॉब्स आर नॉट देयर इज अ डी ग्रोथ, देर इज अ ह्यूज, let's say, slow down in the industry when it comes to jobs. And some people say that there is a huge potential to grow and so on and so forth in India, etc., etc. Some people are moving abroad, some people are staying in India. So what is it exactly that is happening? We'll discuss this today. Okay, now, to understand the latest market trends for 2025 2026, the first thing that we have to understand is how was 2024 for us. पूरा 2024 का साल निकल गया. आई एम शूटिंग दिस वीडियो इन जनवरी 2025. पिछला पूरा साल 2024 जो था, इलेक्शंस का ईयर था. आप अगर देखिए, कोई भी मेजर इकोनॉमी इन द वर्ल्ड, मे इट बी इंडिया, मे इट बी यूएस, मे इट बी यूके, everywhere elections happened, right? The last election that happened was the US elections, which is the biggest election from a impact point of view in the world. And Donald Trump kind of won the elections and got re-elected as the president of India, president of the US. Sorry. Now, if you talk about the 2024, so the elections period is over. Now, what that means is that we have a more certain time. Everything is settled. Everyone knows who is going to join the president, basically, office in every country, who will lead the world, etc., etc. So that is settled. So what that means is that particularly in the sectors like IT, sectors like tech, software development, etc., the first insight that I'm going to give you is that there is a more certain outlook on the IT deal flow that is going to happen in the next few quarters in 2025. And hence IT staffing जो है as an industry, IT की जो staffing industry है, that is on an uptick. So what that also means is, एक ये बहुत important insight है for anybody who's watching this video right now, that if you want to look at how the corporate sector hiring is going to be performing in the next coming years, in the next few years, सबसे पहले जो सबसे ज़रूरी चीज़ है देखना, वो है रिक्रूटमेंट एजेंसीज एंड कंसल्टिंग फर्म्स को. जो रिक्रूटमेंट कंसल्टिंग एंड रिक्रूटमेंट एजेंसीज होती हैं, जो ये फर्म्स होती हैं जो हेल्प करती हैं दूसरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस को हायर करने में, हाउ आर दे परफॉर्मिंग? बिकॉज इफ दीज कंपनीज आर परफॉर्मिंग वेल, इसका ये मतलब है दैट द हायरिंग इज गोइंग टू बी अपटेकिंग इन द नेक्स्ट फ्यू मंथ्स और क्वार्टर्स और ईयर्स. Why? Because these companies are either selling the hiring services or are selling a hiring software or a platform that will be used for hiring by the organizations. So the last quarter, which is October to December वाला जो quarter था 2024 वाला, was a great quarter for these organizations. Now what that means is that जब भी ऐसा होगा, the entire, basically, जब भी एक ग्रेट क्वार्टर जाएगा इन कंसल्टिंग एंड रिक्रूटमेंट कंपनीज का, ये एक प्रीकर्सर होता है टू द ग्रोइंग डिमांड दैट विल कम अप. सो इफ लेट्स से in the last quarter a lot of companies bought recruitment softwares, so what that would mean is that this year they are going to spend on hiring because they've already invested in recruitment software, right? So we are seeing great hiring headwinds in India for 2025 and even 2026. Okay, I'll prove that to you with some data as well. Now, this particular slide that you see on the screen is the entire revenue, or let's say outlook for the entire revenue for InfoEdge. InfoEdge is basically the parent company of Naukri.com. Naukri.com is the biggest recruitment company in the country, and is also listed on the stock market. So ये सारा publicly available data, but I want to kind of show you how, how things are moving for them. So if you look at FY20 and FY21, obviously there was a downtrend. Why? Because of COVID hit and so on and so forth. But since then, this has continued to go up. In fact, FY24 was in fact, right now they're looking at a 2380.9 CR kind of a number going forward. And जो Q2 जो अभी गया है, जो लास्ट क्वार्टर गया है FY25 का, उन्होंने बेसिकली काफ़ी ग्रोथ देखी है पिछले क्वार्टर से, पिछले उसी क्वार्टर का, पिछले साल का, जो उससे कंपैरिजन करें तो. सो द मार्जिन्स basically are staying the same, but the growth in revenue is happening, right? Even the EBITDA margins are improving for them. EBITDA is basically your earnings before income tax, depreciation and amortization, right? So Naukri.com is looking at a huge end to the current financial year, जो कि मार्च 2025 में ख़त्म होने वाला है. एंड बिकॉज उन्होंने रिसेंटली जो अपना क्वार्टर क्लोज किया दिसंबर 2024 में, वो बहुत ज़्यादा बड़ा क्वार्टर था. बहुत बड़ी बड़ी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस ने इंडिया में, और छोटी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस ने भी इंडिया में काफ़ी काफ़ी स्पेंड किया है Naukri.com के साथ, विच मीन्स दैट इट इज़ अ गुड साइन फॉर द जॉब मार्केट इन इंडिया कमिंग अप फॉर द नेक्स्ट कपल ऑफ ईयर्स. काफ़ी ग्रोथ दिखने को मिलेगी आपको. अनदर थिंग दैट आई वॉन्ट टू पॉइंट आउट इज द USD टू INR कन्वर्जन जो है, जो एक $, का जो आज के दिन INR मिलता है जनवरी 2025 में, इट इज़ अराउंड 85-86 रुपीज़. तो ये बढ़ता ही चला गया है. ये ऑलरेडी इट इज़ मूविंग टूवर्ड्स हायर 80s, और ये पॉसिबली 90 भी हिट कर सकता है एट द एंड ऑफ दिस ईयर, विच मीन्स दैट द इंडियन एम्प्लॉई फ्रॉम अ डॉलर वैल्यू परस्पेक्टिव लुक्स चीपर टू ऑल द FDI मनी दैट इज़ कमिंग इन. जो भी डायरेक्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट हो रही है ग्लोबली, जो भी डायरेक्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट इंडिया में हो रही है, उसके लिए अब एम्प्लॉयमेंट पे खर्च करना इतना मुश्किल नहीं रहा, बिकॉज वो सेम डॉलर के लिए उनको अब ज़्यादा INR मिल सकता है, राइट? सो हेंस दिस इज ऑल्सो गुड साइन दैट द हायरिंग ग्रोथ विल बी सीन इन 2025. Another thing that I want to point out is that the Global Capability Center. So what is a Global Capability Center? बेसिकली जितनी भी ये बड़ी बड़ी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं आपकी दुनिया की, जैसे सिटी बैंक, JP Morgan Chase, टारगेट, वॉलमार्ट, ये सारी की सारी कंपनीज इंडिया में ऑपरेट नहीं करती हैं. ये ग्लोबली बहुत बड़ी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं, बट ये इंडिया में अपना एक बैक एंड सेंटर बना देती हैं, जिसमें कि सारा IT सपोर्ट, सारा ऑपरेशन सपोर्ट का काम आउटसोर्स हो जाता है इंडिया में, राइट? तो ये GCCs आप देखिए कि इंडिया में पुणे, हैदराबाद, बैंगलोर, जयपुर, विशाखापट्टनम, कोची जैसी शहरों में बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ गए हैं, राइट? इनफैक्ट आज के दिन ये 1600 हैं. देयर आर 1600 GCCs इन इंडिया. इन द नेक्स्ट 5 years दिस विल ग्रो टू 2500 प्लस. तो बहुत ग्रोथ दिखने वाली है ग्लोबल कैपेबिलिटी सेंटर्स में भी. सो मच सो दैट द जॉब ओपनिंग्स फॉर टेक प्रोफेशनल्स दैट इज गोइंग टू बी देयर बाय द एंड ऑफ 2025, वो GCCs में 52.6% होगा. विच मीन्स अगर 100 जॉब्स अगर मार्केट में आएंगे IT में, उसमें 52 जॉब्स विल बी फ्रॉम द GCCs. सो whoever is watching this video, all of my viewers or people who have purchased this course should be understanding this GCC space very well and try and focus on that sector, because वहाँ पे ज़्यादा ग्रोथ आपको देखने को मिलेगी. Now बहुत IT की बात हो गई. Another few sectors that I want to point out that are going to do well in the next couple of years. The number one is healthcare sector. ये already, they are experiencing sustained growth because of the rising demand for pharmaceuticals, medical devices, etc. And in fact, South India में भी एक medical tourism hub बन रहा है, which basically is giving a lot of requirement or pegging a lot of requirement for skilled professionals to come in the healthcare industry, and then allied industries like health tech or med tech, medical sector, etc., etc. So a lot of growth apart from typical medical professionals you will see in terms of hiring in that sector. Another sector is obviously the manufacturing sector is also undergoing a revival in the country, especially because there are a lot of government-led initiatives in the infra space. बहुत foreign investment भी आ रही है. In fact, a lot of industrial hubs are being set up in states like Odisha, Gujarat, Pune में. In fact, I've seen MIDC के a lot of investment is going in. Southern states are creating a lot of significant employment opportunities. So this sector is also pegged to grow in the long term. So I would say manufacturing can be also a good sector when it comes to hiring in the next few years. Another thing that I want to point out is that the national industrial corridors that are being set up in the country will directly give 1 million jobs in the market, flood these, flood these sectors like manufacturing, logistics, and e-commerce in the market in the next few years. So whoever is watching this video can try and catch up with these sectors and see where they can land up their next job. Another report that I want to share with all of you is the World Economic Forum report, which basically was a report just published a few days ago, which spoke about in 2025 how the job market will look like. Now, what this report says is that there would be around 1090 million jobs who will continue to evolve in the labor market, and 170 million jobs will be created. A new 170 million jobs will be created, and 92 million jobs will be displaced or done away with. What that means is that the number of jobs being created are more than the number of jobs being displaced, which means that the future of jobs report 2025 signifies or directly tells us that there will be a good growth in the job market across the world, specifically in India, coming in the next few years or next couple of years. So 2025 looks like a promising year to me. In fact, so much so that big funding rounds are back. You remember hearing things around, let's say, uh, you know, things like so many people said funding winters are there, there are no uh, rounds of funding happening, etc., etc. But from my perspective, a lot of big funding rounds are back. So much so that there is a tech company in India which has recently just launched. I took a picture of this screenshot, or I took a screenshot from my LinkedIn profile, which said that Series F funding for this company Innovator, and this is like a typical software company in India. There are many of them, SaaS companies in India. It has raised $275 million. What that means is that the huge money from the global investment funds or venture capital funds are flowing in India. In fact, the AI or tech startup ecosystem is blowing up again. So much so that in the history of mankind, the biggest ever funding that has happened has just been concluded with a company called Databricks. Databricks raised $10 billion in their Series J funding round, which has now valued it at $62 billion. पहले पुराने टाइम में 10 बिलियन की कोई किसी कंपनी की वैल्यूएशन हो जाती थी तो उसे डेकाकॉन कहते थे, एंड इट वाज अ सेलिब्रेटेड थिंग. लुक एट कंपनीज रेजिंग दैट मच मनी नाउ एंड ग्रोइंग टू लाइक 62 बिलियन, $65 बिलियन. सो आने वाले टाइम में आपको बहुत पैसा ग्रोथ दिखेगा in the hiring setups because a lot of money is flowing into these large tech organizations, or let's say other sectors that I've spoken about, which means in turn, and other factors like USD to INR weakening, or let's say things around GCC growing in India, etc., or globally. What that would do is there would be a lot of new opportunities that will be created in India. And if you are somebody who's a fresher or a few years in your corporate job, you should just see how you can align into these sectors, look for roles in these sectors, and continue to grow in your career. With that, I must thank you for listening to these job market trends that I foresee going forward into 2025 and 2026. There would be a lot of videos from my side that will keep coming in. There are many interesting topics, many unique topics that I cover in all of my courses. Um, this kind of a video, I don't think anybody would have created or gone through, because these are very fresh and unique trends and ideas that I'm giving you. Um, in other videos, I'll talk more about specifically on how you can get ahead in your career, what are the special best practices that you should be taking in order to grow in your career. With that, I thank you all for joining in, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself.